Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Old Bashers Racing YesterYear Racing Cup Series here at the virtual Richmond Raceway. We are out on track, getting ready to send them out for another fantastic race. I'm your host, James Eastwood, Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second as drivers are getting out on track and ready to start this main event. Let's go ahead and run through the grid here at Richmond. On pole, it's Joshua Robinson, the number 23. TJ Rogers starting second. Dale Copeland starts third. Tom Ogle starting fourth. Lloyd Moore starting fifth. Courtney Nelson starting sixth. Dan Hill starting seventh. Jerry Isaacs starting eighth. Michael Watts starting ninth. Dakota Pischke starting 10th. Nick Zautner starting 11th. Wayne Hufford starting 12th. Cycled on back to Greg McDaniel starting 13th. Brian Lynch starting 14th. Chris Bates starting 15th. Gavin Adams starting 16th. Roger Hurley starts 17th. Joey Buscemi starting 18th. Andy Thomas starts 19th. Jim Smith starting 20th. Robert Garisco starting 21st. Brian McCubbin starting 22nd. Clint Bryce starting 23rd. Dustin Martinson starting 24th. Cycling back one final time. Tom Massey starting 25th. Clay Walker starting 26th. William Martin starts 27th. Mark Fish starting 28th. Brian Lindsay starts 29th. Alan Wanamaker starting 30th. And Lee Warsdell will round out the field here today. A lot of snow over in the spectator area. If you guys are getting terribly dropped frames over here, I'm showing some hiccups here in live timing from my point of view. Although it looks good on the broadcast software as far as what I'm seeing. So I'm curious to see if it's a little bit laggy, a little bit stuttery for the fans out there at Richmond. Looks like the upload speed pretty limited from what I'm seeing. Let's see if we can get that hiccup corrected for the fans at home. Looks like it's going to be pretty blinky, I think. Now, we are recording this race natively on our broadcast computer, so hopefully we can get this thing corrected. That hiccup, from what I see on my end, not looking good. Not sure why it's showing as a PowerPoint presentation up here in the booth. So hopefully we can get something figured out here. And we are green flag racing here at Richmond. That's going to be Josh Robinson, TJ Rogers on the front row. Dale Copeland, the number 55 machine, trying to make something happen. And already I hear some beating and banging going around out on track. I don't think that was Michael Watts in the 84 machine, but he is right here in the middle of this mess. That's going to give Robinson a chance to break away. Watts side by side with Dakota Grandpa Pischke. That's going to be the battle for ninth. Looks like Dale Copeland's going to move up a spot in the number 55 machine, pushing that Chick-fil-A back 55 Chevrolet a little bit further forward. Robinson up front. Clicks off at 22.69. And I'm hearing a whole lot of asphalt screaming around the surface. Looks like your top four drivers, Robinson, Copeland, Rogers, Ogle, going to get a bit of a breakaway here from Courtney Nelson, the number 48 machine. And you also see Lloyd Moore right behind the 26, and right behind Moore, that's Watts and Isaacs going side by side. The battle for 7th. Watts trying to get some momentum built up here. In that number 84 machine, Watts had a great running at Circuit of the Americas last week. Let's see if he can build on that momentum. Now, Robinson picked up the win last week, so he's looking to make it back-to-back. He interrupted his teammate Opel's winning streak. We have yet to have a driver so far this season go for 3 in a row here at the YesterYear Racing Cup Series here at the OBRL. Gavin Adams showing as coming down pit road. Not sure if he had a penalty or maybe some sort of issue. Now, talking to the drivers here tonight, they can go majority of the race on a tank of gas. We're estimating the fuel window between around lap 110 to lap 120. But the big question here tonight is, what are the tires going to do for these drivers? Tire wear has been a major factor for all involved. Robinson still out front. He's got about 3.5 tenths over Copeland. Copeland has Rogers in that 72 machine wanting to take back over the second place position where he originally qualified here tonight. Now, it's interesting for these drivers as well. We had a road course last week, back on an oval, semi-oval, I guess is what we'd call Richmond. But it looks like, and I hope I don't hit it with the commentator's curse, looks like things are going very well for these drivers, seeing a lot of good racecraft. Hard Charger out on track. That's going to be Brian Lindsay's number 24 machine. He is up 7 positions so far. The Liberty University-backed Chevrolet having a very good showing so far. And just slowly clicking off laps here and maybe trying to get to the first tire window. I think tires are going to be the big issue here tonight. Definitely more so than we're going to face from any sort of fuel runs. I'm curious as well if maybe if I can get a caution, we can try something, tweaking some some settings up here in the booth. Nobody wants to watch a PowerPoint presentation. There's Joey Buscemi, the number 56 machine, trying to see if he can fend off Chris Bates and Clint Rice. Rice, one of those drivers, the number 6 machine. You see the black and red on the inside line next to Chris Bates. Has really been picking up speed in his time here at the OBRL. Robinson still leads the charge up front, but he's got a 1/4 second deficit. Excuse me, Dale Copeland has a 1/4 second deficit, but he is tracking down Robinson here, slowly closing the gap as number 55 machine. But Robinson does have the luxury of clean air on the front. That number 23 machine is going to help with the tire wear we're expecting here tonight at Richmond. And the top 5, top 6, all running relatively single file, relatively close out on track. And again, to the fans that are here with us tonight, this race is being currently recorded as well while we try and push the broadcast. So worst comes to worst, the lagging and stuttering doesn't come to a fix here. This race will be immediately uploaded on YouTube to follow. There's Clint Rice. We were talking about how much he's grown as a driver here at the OBRL, and he's looking for another spot, this time against Joey Buscemi's 56 machine. Rice goes down low. Buscemi, the 56, goes a little bit high there, I think in helping to facilitate that pass. And so far, very impressed. Now, the incident limit has been lowered here for the Cup Series. So instead of the usual 9 incident points these drivers have had for most of the season to help facilitate a little bit cleaner driving, it's been lowered to a 7-point incident limit for these drivers. So encouraging them to be a little bit calmer, a little bit smarter, a little bit safer on when they opt to make those moves. We've clicked off 20 laps so far, and again, I don't want to hit with the commentator's curse, but it looks like we have cleaned up some of the action here. Clint Rice makes his 9th position gain against Mr. Brian Lynch in that number 9 machine. Gonna be interesting to see how far can Rice go. It doesn't seem like tire management's too much of a concern. Drivers have only lost about 3/10 off their fastest lap of the race with about 20-lap-old tires. Courtney Nelson, Lloyd Moore linked up 5th and 6th out on the track here in Virginia. And Robinson out front has pulled over a second over Copeland and the rest of the field here. The Robinson finding his groove 20 some odd laps in. Now if we go back to Wayne Hufford, the What About Amiobi back number 75 Chevrolet, he's got a bunch of fast guys right behind him. You've got Dakota Pischke, Nick Zautner, Greg McDaniel, Clint Rice, Brian Lynch, all in this freight train running 10th through about 15th place here. So far, these guys are doing a great job keeping the hammer down. Wayne Hufford still holding on to it in that 10th place spot. Pischke trying to close the gap just a little bit. As you can see, I think that's Clint Rice and the number 6 machine pulling up alongside a defending champion here, Greg McDaniel, the number 1 machine. Here comes Rice looking for another pass. That's going to be against Zautner's number 97 Ford Mustang. Clint Rice is going to make it 11 positions gained here, blitzing through the field, not having any issues. Rice is on fire here tonight. Now, I'm going to look. I wonder if Rice had any penalties to serve. Doesn't look like he did, so Rice just didn't have the qualifying that he was looking for. So it's going to be interesting to see over the remaining 130 laps, what can Rice do as he continues to click it off and make it look easy. Looks like Greg McDaniel is going to pick up a spot against that number 97 machine. If we go a little bit further forward as well, Courtney Nelson, the 48, looks like he's got Lloyd Moore coming up a little bit further behind. And it also looks like Grandpa Pischke's going to try and fire back against Rice. I saw that gap get down to within 1/10 of a second. Again, Jeremy Mayo reminding us, we know Rice has fantastic pace. Maybe doesn't have the luck in that number 6 machine that he's been looking for, but hopefully things can start to go the way for Clint Rice, and we can see that number 6 machine up front where his pace reflects. And now Rice is going to have Wayne Hufford in his sights. On board with Clint Rice diving down the inside line. I think I just heard a hint of a downshift. Rice doing everything he can to help rotate that car around. Now he's about 1.9 seconds back from Mr. Dan Hill. And Hill is having his own battle with Watts, the number 84 machine. Now Watts is no stranger to tire saving at any track you go to, and he's always a bit of a road course ringer. Oh, a big blink there from Michael Watts. Watts able to keep Hill at bay here a little bit. Looks like they're catching up to Isaacs, Moore, and Nelson, running 7th, 6th, and 5th on the circuit. And it's going to be a little bit of lap traffic ahead, or behind, I should say. That's Alan Wanamaker in the number 74 machine. The Toyota Camry, sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts. No, excuse me, Krispy Kreme. I want to get that one confused. Wanamaker running about 2 laps down here in the 74. Running a clean race and just clicking off the laps. Nick Zautner running 14th. He has company. No, it's going to be Joey Buscemi right behind him that has Brian Lynch, Chris Bates, and Roger Hurley closing the gap. There's Chris Bates taking a look to the inside line against Brian Lynch. Gets on the brakes a little bit there to avoid getting into the back of him, so a good save. And I don't want to jinx myself with the commentator's curse, but it looks like things are clearing up a little bit as far as the broadcast goes. Maybe the fans can let us know if that looks a little bit better. Now, we're still going to re-upload this race as soon as the checkered is out and the interviews are complete. That way you can watch these opening 40 laps without any sort of issue. Oh, there's Michael Watts, Dan Hill side by side for 8th. Hill looking for any opening he can, but we're going to go 3 wide here at Richmond. Able to get through nice and clean. That was the number 19 machine of Dustin Martinson. Going to go a lap down to a very heated battle for 8th. Right now, Hill showing ahead from that 84 machine, so Watts is going to fall back into 9th, his original qualifying position. Up front, there's Josh Robinson. He's got a whole lot of traffic to contend with, but we still have 27 drivers on the lead lap. Make it 26 as Tom Massey 62 machine. So this is where Robinson has to be careful not to put that 23 machine into any precarious positions out on the track. And so far, it looks like smooth sailing. Now, Robinson, a little bit shy of 1 second off of his fastest lap of the race last time by. He's got a little bit of a blink there ahead from the number 30 of Gavin Adams. Adams goes up high to help facilitate the race leader making his way around. Next is going to be Brian McCubbin's 52 Toyota Camry, trying to hop out of the way of Robinson. Oh, excellent racing. Robinson's putting on a clinic here. 4.2 seconds over Dale Copeland and the rest of the field. Some of the closest drivers we have out on tracks, that's going to be Courtney Nelson and Lloyd Moore. Very impressed with the racecraft we've been seeing so far here tonight. Good racing all the way around. Let's also go back to Wayne Huffer, the 75 machine. He's got company Greg McDaniel, Nick Zautner, and just ahead of him looks like Hill and Watt still having a battle for 8th as well. Now, again, to reiterate, we think the fuel window is around a lap 110 to 120 is when that fuel window is going to close for these drivers. But tire fall off was definitely the big concern. Right now, we're already a second off the fastest laps of the race. I'm curious to see how bad the tire wear needs to be before these drivers opt to come down pit road for tires instead of a fuel stop. And as these cars are really wearing out the tires, makes it very tough to make a move where you're looking for a little bit of a mistake there from Hufford. Looked like he was going to try and get down the inside line to navigate traffic. Car got a little bit unsettled, and that almost gave an opportunity for McDaniel in the number 1 machine to make his way around. That is the 94 of William Martin, doing a great job staying up against the wall, running that mid to high line. And ahead of this battle, you've got Tom Ogle and Lloyd Moore. I'm afraid it is. I think that is a Easter White Claw back number 11 machine for Tom Ogle. It is indeed a Easter-backed White Claw number 11 piloted by Tom Ogle. I am at this point no longer disappointed or surprised. Dale Copeland has company in second place with TJ Rogers. Now, some of the fans thinking we might see some pit stops around the lap 80 mark. That'll be interesting to see. I mean, at that point, It would be good to go on fuel to make it till the end and maybe have some fresh tires underneath them. Now, barring any cautions, we're fairly confident this is going to be a one-stop race. Now, Brian McCubbin was one of our first drivers to take a pit stop, taking 4 fresh tires underneath that car. And he spent 47 seconds on pit road. That puts him almost, I think, 2 laps down here from where he was when he came down pit road. And things are really tight across the field here. Clint Rice, Michael Watts running side by side. Looks like they're catching up to Jerry Isaacs, the number 51 machine. We've got Victor Lane Sports joining us. Yes, so far, 58 laps of clean, green racing here at Richmond International Raceway. Not sure if it's the incident limit, the words of wisdom from Eddie Jones, or race control putting the fear of God in our drivers, but this has been some of the best oval racing we've had so far this season. We've got multiple different strategies that can pan out tonight. We have some fans thinking we might see some drivers come in at the halfway mark around that lap 80. Other drivers, maybe such as Josh Robinson, who aren't losing a ton of pace with their tire fall off, we can imagine they will stay out as long as they can. I think Robinson definitely will. He's already pulled a 7.2 second gap over the rest of the field. But it's about that 6th place back that I'm a little apprehensive. We could see a caution being thrown at some point. Case in point, there's Tom Ogle feeling the tire wear a little bit worse than some of the other drivers. He's got Hill, Isaacs, Rice right behind. And keep an eye out on Rice. He hasn't slowed down a ton either. And he has gained 14 positions over the run. I just saw Rice tried to make a move against Isaacs, wasn't quite able to make it stick. Hill has made the pass against Ogle. I think Ogle has chewed up all the tires here and he's going the wrong way in the leaderboard. That's going to put Ogle within striking distance of Isaacs, who's charging from behind that 51 machine. Clint Rice still on the gas as well. Now Rice last time by a 23.9, 1.2 seconds slower than his fastest lap of the race here at Richmond. The tire wear, 65 clean laps so far, definitely a factor for these drivers. But I'm surprised to see Ogle falling off the pace number 11 machine. Normally he is known for his tire saving. I'm not surprised to see Josh Robinson gaining an 8-second gap on the rest of the field. Let's pan back to the race leader, Robinson, the number 23 machine. He has made it so there is only 18 drivers on the lead lap. And I think that's going to be Clay Walker, the number 2 machine, just ahead. Yes, it is. That's Walker, who's going to try and fight and stay on the lead lap. But Walker's in his own battle here. He's got Smith right ahead of him. And then it'll be a little bit of clean track for Robinson before he catches up to Chris Bates in that number 81 machine. There's side-by-side action. Nick Zoutner, Wayne Hufford battling for 12th. Lee Warsdale is going to come down pit road on lap 65 for a green flag stop. And this is where things are going to get extra dicey. You're going to have drivers coming out on track with 4 fresh tires underneath them. A lot faster and looser car. And they're going to be blitzing through the field where most drivers are at least a second off their pace, if not 2 at this point. can sometimes spell a little bit of a recipe for disaster. But so far, these drivers have been doing a fantastic job out on the track. Michael Watts has Greg McDaniel looking at the inside line. McDaniel trying to sneak into the top 10 here. Now, I love calling the races at Richmond, especially later in the runs, as you'll be able to hear drivers grabbing downshifts to help rotate the car. They'll also be moving the brake bias a little bit further back throughout the run as well to help the car rotate. A very fine line between making the car fast and out of control. So it looks like most of the field's done a good job figuring it out here. Things are also tightening up, it looks like, in the second place spot. Dale Copeland has Rogers, Nelson, and now Moore nose to tail behind. Clint Rice, still your hard charger, still up 14 positions from where he qualified. And Nelson wasting no time in the 48 machine trying to get around TJ Rogers. Rogers up high. Also a little bit of lap traffic thrown in the mix here as well. Did not expect the top 5, top 6 to be this linked up. Robinson checking out 11.5 seconds up over the rest of the field. Nelson keeping the pressure on Rogers. I think Robinson has the luxury right now to have clean air in the front of that number 23 machine. He's going to be using up a little bit less tire. And lap traffic will know that the race leader is coming by and try and hop out. Rogers and Nelson. Nelson trying to make a move at the inside line. It looks like he pulls ahead by about a tenth. Can he get clear at the 72? Yes, he can. Nelson moves up into that final podium position. Now we've got just about 5 laps left to go until the halfway mark of this main event. Will we see any drivers hitting at the halfway mark? The fans seem to think they need to go off of what's going off around them out on track, more so than what Mr. Robinson is doing up front. Looking at live timing, Robinson is running 2 to 4 tenths faster than anybody else out on track at this point. Oh, there's the pole of the day. Let's get that thing going. We've got a poll up for the spectators here on YouTube. Will Robinson lap the field here at Richmond? It's only about a 24-second lap time. And I just saw an exciting moment. Wayne Hufford, Dakota Pischke are going to grab a couple spots. Michael Watt's going to come down pit road, opting for fresher tires more than anything else. Dale Copeland still holding on to second, the number 55 machine. And Dan Hill has company from Rogers and Moore right in tow. Rogers and Moore running 5th and 6th. And already, instantly the votes coming in here on YouTube. As looks like Courtney Nelson with a charge. Going to take over the second place spot from Copeland. But Robinson has now made it a 13.6 second, but pit road's getting a little bit busier. Wayne Hufford, Chris Bates, Brian Lynch all down pit road. Jim Smith's going to come down pit road. So it seems like a large portion of the field looking for that halfway strategy to split things up here tonight. Robinson has made it so there's only 12 drivers on the lead lap. Ogle, Rice, McDaniel, Pischke all coming down pit road. Robinson not even a full second off of his pace, 9/10 off his fastest lap of the race. He is feeling mighty comfortable in the Micro Center back number 23 Ford Mustang. And man, the vote's really rolling in, and still the spectators are split. Nick Zoutner, Joey Buscemi coming down pit road. That's going to leave your top 6 drivers have yet to pit here at Richmond, and that is going to put a lot of drivers out on track with fresh tires, and that's where things can get a little bit exciting for the field. I'm personally thinking that Robinson is going to run this thing out as long as he can and see if a caution will go his way. We've only got 5 drivers on the lead lap right now. And looks like 7, 8, maybe about 9 drivers have yet to pit. Courtney Nelson comes down pit road. That's going to leave 4 drivers on the lead lap who have yet to pit. And 3 of those 4, you could throw a blanket over. You've got Copeland, Hill, and Moore nose to tail, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, 15 seconds back from race leader Robinson. Unfortunately, Gavin Adams going to join us from the stands after pulling in a little bit early. I believe Gavin's was the number 30 machine. Yes, he was. So Adams into an earlier retirement here at Richmond, but still coming out to support his friends and fellow racers. Brian Lindsay's down pit road, the number 24. Now, curious to see which of these drivers is going to come down pit road. The number 61 machine of Jim Smith goes a little bit high to allow 2nd through 4th place by. Nice and easy. Now, Gavin Adams also had some internet problems in the opening part of the race. I wonder if that's connected to the issues I was having up here in the booth. Gail Copeland, number 55, as well as Clay Walker, the number 2 machine, coming down for their pit stop. That's going to leave Robinson, Hill, Moore, Mark Fish, Andy Thomas, and Alan Wanamaker, the only drivers who have yet to pit here. Handing back over to Robinson. Looks like it's going to be 3 drivers on the lead lap, and we're going to have a caution 91 laps in. Let's see where that one came from. It looked like it was going to be William Martin tied up in that one. Michael Watts also had an off track, so let's focus in on Martin first. That number 94 machine just loses the back end. Tries to chase the car. And how did Mr. Watts get involved in that? I think that was a separate incident. I saw Watts flat tracking the number 84 machine. Let's see what happened to Watts. Yeah, just loses the back end, chases it off the track, so he was not involved in that incident with Martin. But we're going to have our first caution of the night, 92 laps in, and now Josh Robinson's going to come down pit road. Robinson, Hill, Moore, all down pit road. And I think there's going to be I agree with Jeremy and Mayo and the spectator side saying there's going to be a lot of wave arounds now. Let's see who gets back on the lead lap from this one. Right now, I only show 4 drivers in the lead lap: Robinson, Isaacs, Moore, and Hill. Now, Isaacs came down pit road on lap 76, so I think he was in the lucky dog position there. And you saw it right, my friend. Jerry Isaacs back down pit road. Now, are we going to have a mass of wave arounds? And the fans, I agree here. Robinson's going to have some of the freshest tires out on track. It's going to be Robinson, Hill, Moore, and Isaacs. With lap 92, lap 93, fresh mounted rubbers underneath them. So if you thought Robinson was fast earlier on, running 92 laps on a set and maintaining a massive 15-second lead, you are about to see a clinic from the number 23 machine if he can stay out of any trouble. So 11 votes in so far. 55% of our viewers thinking that a caution is going to prevent Robinson from lapping the field. Still 45% of our viewers thinking the number 23 machine can do it. Yeah, spot on. You've got these 4 currently lead lap drivers with fresh rubber. Everybody else on the field is going to have anywhere between 3, so it looks to be about 16 lap older tires underneath them in a race where tire wear was already a major factor. Now, one thing I am a little bit worried about in the booth is cautions tend to breed cautions. Thankfully, most of the field from about 5th place back got those tires up to temp scuffed in, so they're not exactly on fresh rubber at this point. Also not too worn out tires as well. We're trying to get the field sorted here and trying to see who all got wave arounds from that one. And we are green flag racing. I showed just 4 drivers on the lead lap. Let's see what Robinson can do here with 63 laps left in today's main event. And you got a bunch of drivers still battling for position. I mean, there's Ogle and Watts battling for 6th, but they're a lap down for the race leaders. I'm curious to see as well, Dan Hill. I've seen him in the past have fantastic short run pace. Is he going to try and pressure Robinson here and force that number 23 machine to use up a little bit more tire than he was planning on using? The last thing Hill wants is he gets a little bit loose coming out of turn 2. The last thing Hill wants is for Robinson to get another breakaway. A lot of proud racers here tonight. They're all fast, but nobody wants to finish a lap down to Mr. Robinson. Looks like Jim Smith, the number 61 machine, is going to come back down pit road for some reason. And Robinson starting to build up that gap. 60 laps left to go. The 22.74 just 0.05 of a second off his fastest lap of the race. He's going to keep Dan Hill at bay here. Only 4 drivers on the lead lap here at Richmond. Watson, Ogle still side by side. The battle for 6. Ogle the inside line. Watts a little bit higher. Oh, somebody's out of shape. Trying to see who that was. I think that was Jerry Isaacs going for a wild ride there. For folks down, yes, it was Isaacs. And well done to Dale Copeland, I believe that was, but making the save to avoid getting into that 51 machine. And it is a bit of a meat grinder here from 6th place back. We are clicking off the laps here in Virginia. If we run this thing green to the end, we got about 20 minutes left in this main event. Courtney Nelson, number 48 machine, still working through the field. And look at Clint Rice. Let's get a camera angle on Rice. That number 6 machine is still up 16 positions from where he qualified tonight. And keeping the pressure on Ogle in the battle for 6. Dale Copeland rounding out the top 5. Copeland in that lucky dog position. So Copeland, he's hoping he can hold on to 5th, see another caution, and get the lucky dog. Robinson still holding about 3.5 tenths up over Dan Hill. Hill has Lloyd Moore in 3rd, 4 tenths off the back of that number 7 machine. As there we go, all top 3 drivers in frame here at Richmond. You hear a few of the drivers dragging the wall just ever so slightly. Now TJ Rogers is going to take a peek to the inside line of Michael Watts. Through turn 3. Watts and Rogers still side by side, swapping back and forth here. Now that's going to cost him a little bit of time, as Clint Rice has worked his way a second ahead of this battle for 8th. Great racecraft here at the YesterYear Racing Cup Series at the OBRL. Was trying to get a lap back from Dale Copeland and the Jerry Isaacs in the 51 machine. Isaacs still showing on the lead lap, about 6.5 seconds back from Robinson. Lee Warsdale coming back out on track in the 99 machine. Another good battle we have out on track. Courtney Nelson running 11th. He's got Wayne Hufford and Nick Zoutner right in tow. They're running 12th and 13th on the track. 50 laps left to go here at Richmond. Checking back in on Josh Robinson. Looks like clean track ahead for that number 23 machine. Only 4 drivers on the lead lap. But Robinson's going to have to work through the entire field again before he can try and put the rest of the field a lap down. I think it's going to be a big ask because it looks like Hill and Moore have learned something from the opening 90 laps here at Richmond, doing a much better job keeping Robinson at least in sight. At the end of those opening 92 laps, Robinson a 15-second advantage over anybody else out on track here. And looks like the battle for the lucky dog position's really heating up. Dale Copeland has Ogle and Rice right behind. We know Rice had fantastic pace in the opening half of this event. And Rice, known to be very hungry, just looking for a little bit of luck to go his way. He's right in tow with Ogle. He's already gained 16 spots here tonight. And he make it 18. That'll put him in lucky dog contention if we have a late race caution at the Virginia Raceway. I think Copeland knows how important that current 5th place spot is, the number 55 machine. Jim Smith joined us in the spectator area with the right attitude here for the YesterYear Cup Series. Good to see Smith join us. Hate to see it on those conditions, though. And looks like things are about to wake up. Ogle fighting for that 5th place spot. A little bit of 3-wide action with Copeland in the middle. That was Rice on the inside. I think that was lap traffic up on the high side. So Ogle's going to get the 5th place spot, leaving Copeland and Rice to battle for 6th. Rice works his way up into the 6th place spot, but Copeland's not going to let him have it easy. As the 55 machine guards the inside line. This is giving Ogle about a half-second breakaway in that lucky dog position. Now these guys know it is for that lucky dog spot, but that could all be for naught if we continue to run this thing out. Now let's see, can Rice track down Ogle here with 40 laps left to go? Ogle's pulled just about 7/10 up over the 6th place driver. Now Rice, to his credit, that is the 17th spot he's gained here tonight. The fans were thinking Rice might be one of the only people that could truly challenge Robinson if they got on the lead lap together. Checking back in on Robinson. He still has Dan Hill chasing about 6/10 behind. There's Hill, the MXPX back number 7. Trying to get a little bit closer to the Micro Center number 23 Ford Mustang of Robinson. Still looks like clean track ahead for that number 23. Now a very cool bit of information from Jeremy Mayo. Josh Robinson has led every lap for 3 different races in his OBRL career. Last time it was May 23rd, 2023, Trucks at Eldora. Correct me if I'm wrong, that was a dirt race we ran here at the OBRL. So it's trying to get that under the notched on his belt for the first time in the Cup Series cars. But Hill doing a good job staying with Robinson on this stint. We know Robinson can make those tires last for about 90 laps. So he's got 20 extra to play with, knowing he can use up a little bit more rubber to keep Hill at bay this time. Still good racing across the field. If we check in with Michael Watts, who is that behind him? Somebody had a lot of smoke coming out of that machine. Watts has McDaniel and Nelson right in tow. Trying to see who that is right behind Nelson. I think it's a driver a lap down. But a fantastic save. Nobody wants to see another caution this late in the race, except for maybe Clint Rice or Dan Hill. But we have had excellent pace so far here with tonight. But Rice still going to be a lap down if we do have another caution. And unless you're in that lucky dog, I think with about 34 laps left to go, that's not enough time to unlap yourself on raw pace. Another battle we have going on here. Oh, it's a little bit of bumper cars. That was Pischke, Buscemi, Bates all involved in that one. Thankfully, no further incidents going to come from that as they were swapping some paint there. And I think with that big moment, it's going to get those guys to calm down just a little bit. Now we're on board Courtney Nelson and number 48 machine. That is the battle of Michael Watson, Greg McDaniel just ahead, the battle for ninth. McDaniel's going to look up the inside line. The Cartoon Network's back. Chevrolet. Watts running high in the 84. Oh, and McDaniel, a big moment there. Looks like he might lose the spot to Nelson. Nelson trying to carry a little bit more corner pace, running that mid to high line. Can he get clear of McDaniel here as Watts gets a half-second breakaway and a little bit of a chance to breathe from the pressure he was facing from Greg McDaniel. Now Robinson has got into his groove, pulled a 1.5 second gap over Dan Hill, who sits in second. Let's check back in with Robinson briefly. Yes, he does have traffic ahead of him. 4 drivers remaining on the lead lap here at Richmond. Can't quite tell if that's Crisco or Bates ahead. That's going to be the number 81 machine of Chris Bates going to the high side. Chris Bates, Robert Garisco, not teammates, but always run very similar liveried cars. And Michael Watts and Courtney Nelson still going at it here in the battle for ninth, just inside the top 10. That may allow Greg McDaniel to get right back in the action. Nelson's got great pace here in the 48. He's going to be working that inside line, trying to fend off Watts, making Watts use up a little bit more rubber, running in pretty deep. Richmond, one of the few tracks you can hear drivers grab a downshift to help rotate that car. Really nothing we get most elsewhere on the iRacing service. Road courses notwithstanding. Ogle's still in the hot seat for the lucky dog, but he's got Dale Cope with the 55 machine trying to charge up from behind. 25 laps left to go here at Richmond. Right now it's Robinson, Hill, Moore, 1, 2, 3. Isaacs and Ogle rounding out the top 5. As Ogle got all sorts of out of shape there in the number 11 machine. That's going to put Copeland back in the lucky dog position. The lap's really clicking off here. I don't think Robinson is going to be able to lay down the hammer and put the entirety of the field a lap down, especially the amount of traffic he has right ahead of that number 23 machine. That's Brian McCubbin just ahead. I mean, we've been talking about him all night. Clint Rice, the hard chargers, up 16 spots. He's a great example of where things can go terribly wrong for a race leader at Bristol. Rice was hands down the dominant driver, got caught up with some lap traffic, and unfortunately he saw his race win dreams come screeching to a halt. So Robinson, definitely familiar with that situation, gonna take his time here to facilitate those passes. There's Buscemi in the 56 machine just ahead. Buscemi running 15th out on track. So that's going to be starting to put a large portion of the field down 2 laps from Robinson. That wasn't really a pole option because I didn't expect it to happen. But Robinson absolutely cruising here tonight. Now, if Robinson can pick up the win here, this will be his 6th overall win at the Richmond Raceway. Looks like to me Ogle came into tonight as the fastest lap record holder for Richmond. He was able to set a 22.397 in that White Claw back number 11 machine in a race prior. So it looks like he's at least going to hold on to that record, as Robinson, the fastest lap so far at 22.59. Robinson's cleared most of the traffic. Dan Hilson in second. I think he's going to be aggressive here, trying to cut through the field, but the tire management of Robinson is very tough to beat, and everything he drives. Still, Clint Rice has pressure from Rogers and Nelson in the battle for 7th. I wonder if Rice may have chewed up a little bit more tire underneath them, pushing so hard towards the front. 16 laps left to go here at Richmond. I'm hoping we can run this thing green out till the end. Nelson keeping the pressure on Rogers, looking to the inside line. And Nelson's going to get that position nice and clean. It's going to stack it up a little bit, allowing McDaniel, still sitting 10th, to try and close that gap. Mayo coming in with some cool track stats. Trying to see if any driver has ever led wire to wire. Ogle at one point, back in 2021, led all but 2 laps at Bristol, all but 1 lap at Phoenix. And all but 2 laps at Bristol, so Ogle has been the closest driver to a clean sweep wire to wire. And I've got to check my notes. Did Robinson at any point not lose a lap here tonight? With the pit cycle and cautions, I don't think he has not been out of that number 1 spot. Maybe some of our detail-oriented fans will be able to have a note about that one. 12 laps left to go. Robinson clicking off laps has built up a 2.5 second gap. They'll have 4 drivers on the lead lap, but looks like Jerry Isaacs, he's running about 13 seconds behind Robinson. It's only about a 24-second lap time at this point in the run at Richmond. And Isaac's still carrying a good pace, running almost the identical lap time as Robinson last time by. We're thinking Robinson right now running wire to wire from the feedback from the fans. Could be one of the first drivers, if not the first drivers in OBRL history to run a race start to finish up front. The perfect hat trick is on the horizon for Robinson. I believe he's got the fastest lap of the race, a 22.59, qualified in the top spot. So I'm not sure what more than a trifecta is, but fastest lap, led every lap, qualified on pole, and if he can escape tonight with no incident points, it would be technically and literally a perfect race here in the YesterYear Racing Cup Series at the Old Bastards Racing League. And And Robinson not slowing down, running a tenth faster than anybody else on the lead lap. Granted, that's only 4 drivers at this point. But in a race where a majority of the field is down a lap, if not 2 or more, this could be the definition of an absolute clinic being put on by Robinson. Still, there's drivers battling. I think that was Courtney Nelson kicking up a little bit of dust as he dragged the back right tail section of the number 48 machine. And Greg McDaniel has no quit in that number 1 as he has taken back over the 8th place position from Rice. I think Rice really fighting the tire wear here. He's already lost 2 spots here recently. He was up 16 position, now only up 14. Like another battle, Nick Zautner trying to work the outside line of Michael Watts' 84. Zautner has about 5 lap pressure tires underneath that 97 machine, as opposed to Mike Watts, but 5 laps left to go here in Virginia. Robinson looking very good here. Not seeing a ton of lap traffic ahead of the number 23 machine as well. 4 laps left to go. Robinson's built up a 3.3 second gap over the rest of the field. Now, unfortunately for the fans that voted that Robinson can lap the entire field here tonight, that is not going to come to fruition. Best case scenario, there may be 5 drivers on the lead lap at the tail end of this thing, but that does not detract from Robinson's dominant performance here tonight. As we get ready to make it 2 to go, as Robinson makes his way through turns 3 and 4. He's built up a 3.9 second gap over a hill. Lloyd Morris still sitting in that final podium position. We get ready to unfurl the white flag as Robinson makes his way down the backstretch of Virginia through turns 3 and 4. White flag is out here for Josh Robinson, so we're going to end this with only 1 caution. There will be no green-white checker attempts used here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. On board with Robinson. Let's see if we can hear the downshift. Checkered flag is out. And Robinson, with a perfect race here at Richmond, brings it home for the number 23 machine. Dan Hill finishes 2nd. And Lloyd Moore will round out the top 3. We get our celebratory photos from the top 3 drivers, waiting for Moore to pull into frame. Steadily. There we go. We got Moore in this frame. And then Robinson's going to burn it down here at Richmond. He saved all those tires for a great reason. Great reason. And Robinson, just a dominant victory here tonight. We're going to try and get these top 3 drivers up into victory lane while Robinson burns it down here. And a well-deserved victory for Mr. Josh Robinson. So We're going to start getting some drivers up here to victory lane. Up first is Mr. Lloyd Moore, bringing it home in third, the number 26 machine. Lloyd, a clean race car at the end of it. Only one caution. What more can you ask for here at Richmond?
It's been a rough start to the year, so I definitely needed a run like this in the Cup Series. Archer in Xfinity has been running really well, but just haven't been able to put much together here. So just excited to have a run and, get here on a podium tonight.
Now, Lloyd, it seemed like tonight was all about tire management. You were one of those drivers that waited till that lap 92 caution to come down pit road, grab 4 fresh tires and fuel. If we did not have that caution, how long were you planning on staying out for?
I was planning around lap 100. Car felt really good. I did some practicing a little earlier today, so I did some longer run stuff, and the car felt really good under me. So I figured lap 100, or, if the car still felt good, as long as Josh stayed out, I was staying out.
Well, Lloyd, good to have you back up here in the top 3. Before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this podium possible for you?
Top Flight Racing, of course, my teammates, Durmag truck bodies, and Magnum headache racks.
Awesome. Lloyd, always a pleasure, bud. Good to have you up here, and hopefully we'll see you more throughout the season.
That's the plan, James. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. That was Lloyd Moore bringing it home. And third, up next, Dan Trashcan Hill joined me in the number 7 machine, the MXPX. Dan, great race out there. It was a clean race all the way through. Took some tires later into the race when we had that caution, but seemed like you were ripping out there on the short runs.
Yeah, that's usually where I'm faster. I usually tend to be a little bit quicker on the short runs. I mean, I was really surprised I did as well on that first stint as we did. I really started kind of moving through, drove my way through to like 4th or so. And, I'm telling you, I need to go to Vegas because I have been so lucky on these cautions that I don't know what's happening, but I've been on the right side like 5 times this season. So I'll take it.
Now, Dan, talk about short runs. Next week we go to Martinsville. Historically, that has been not a long run race. Do you think that's going to improve your chances of another great finish, or is it going to be anybody's guess with how that race will turn out?
Yeah, I mean it's it's a crapshoot. Martinsville sometimes we'll have 3 or 4 quick cautions and then we'll get a really long run. It's one of those tracks where you just got to be prepared when you get that long run. You kind of have to always kind of tiptoe around, try to save the tires because you just don't know. I mean, you could have 1 caution, or you could have 20, or you could have 3. But either way, you want to have the tires at the end of the race in that because if not, you're going to pay for it.
Well, looking forward to how that one's going to go. Hopefully, we see that number 7 machine back up here in the top 3. Dan, before I let you go and unwind from that one, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen here tonight?
As always, a shout out to all my teammates: Josh, Tom, Dale, Mark, all those guys. John Hinchcliffe. My wife for putting up with me and letting me race on Sunday nights, and of course you for all you do up in the broadcast booth, and Victor for running the league. He's done an outstanding job taking over with the departure of Dwayne. So shout out to him for all the things he does too. So putting on a great show out here.
Awesome. Dan, pleasure having you back up here, bud. Congratulations again on 2nd, and hopefully we have you join us again after Martinsville.
Yeah, buddy. Have a good one.
You as well, sir. That was Dan Hill bringing it home in 2nd. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Robinson. Welcome to the top spot. Can you ask for a more perfect race here at the YesterYear Cup Series?
You definitely can't. I think they call that a clover leaf, because luck was definitely on my side when that caution came out in the pit cycle.
Now, I know you weren't able to see it, but we had a large portion of the fans thinking that you were going to be able to lap the field here if we stayed clean and green. Do you think that was a possibility?
No, I was. My car was getting a little sketchy there. Well, I don't know what it was, probably lap 100-ish or whatever the caution came out. I was maybe going to go about 10 more laps, but they were going to be 10 easy laps because it is, when you come out on fresh tires, it is sketchy. And so I kind of anticipated that if we did have a caution, that's when it would occur. Didn't really want one, but, I've It's nice that those guys are saying that out in the audience, but that wasn't going to happen. Not in this field.
So, Josh, you're one of the very few drivers. I think it was Mike Franklin, Mike Schrader, and now you in the 23 machine, the only drivers in OBRL history that have led every race start to finish. I mean, you qualified on pole, led every lap, fastest lap of the race, and a clean race car. I believe 0 incident points, correct?
0 incidents, but had a little love fest with the wall on the front stretch for some reason. About 40 to go.
So almost the perfect 4-leaf clover. Then we'll call it a 3.5. But man, Josh, a perfect race, extending that points lead over your teammate Ogle. A lot of fun to watch that one unfold. We had no idea how it was going to shake up at Richmond, but again, a dominant performance all the way through. And you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen for you?
Shout out to everyone that came out. It's Easter weekend, so happy Easter to everyone. And we always get a little bit of a lower car count at a short track, and then it's a holiday, so still 30 plus drivers in a race. So thanks to everyone that came out. As always, thanks to Team Goon Squad for putting on a great product. Thanks to all the league admins and Victor for keeping this league rolling. And shout out to everyone over at Team Miata. We were debating pretty heavy how we were going to run this race. With the master cylinder adjustments, brake bias, and then one thing I don't know if you noticed, James, but you could leave it in fifth, you could leave it in fourth, or you could shift to fifth on the front stretch, and we debated that pretty heavy in the in practice session, and we all elected to run fourth on the back stretch and fifth on the front stretch, and then as the race got a little longer there, we were just staying in fourth.
Well, it seemed like it was a lot of fun. It was very cool to see different strategies of play. So again, Josh, congratulations on the big win, and hopefully we'll have you back up here next week following Martinsville.
Martinsville is you're going to see some guys like Courtney and Watts and Ogle get right back up into the front there. But hey, I'll be there to run and have a good time, and appreciate you guys coming out and watching.
Oh, always a pleasure, Josh. Congratulations, and we'll see you next week, bud.
Have a good one, James.
You as well, sir. That was Josh Robinson. Join us in the number 1 spot here at Richmond. He was accompanied by Dan Hill in second and Lloyd Moore finishing third. On behalf of YesterYear Racing Cup Series here at the Old Bachelors Racing League, our supplementary sponsors, Butt Kicker and Victory Lane Sports, thank you all so much for tuning in on a holiday weekend on a Sunday night, cheering on the favorite drivers, supporting the league, and supporting the broadcast. We'll see you at the next one, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great night, everybody.